doesn't project much, and so if you cannot hear, please raise your hand, and I will try to project. Anyway, I'm really, truly touched by seeing so many people who I know over the years, and then it's really special. Thank you so much for coming. Anyway, Peg, who is a famous artist in Eugene, and she and I met in 1981. She was the instructor at U of O, and I took her drawing class. Since then, we have been friends, and over the years, I made friends and acquaintances and colleagues, and so thank you so much. Also, Bob Kiefer last week came, and then he and I talked for about an hour and a half about a lot of things. And then, fortunately, the weekly is now digital, but it will be on paper next month.
Yay.
Oh, this month,
Next week.
February. Yeah, it's already February. So thanks to the very generous donors, he said. So that's a good news. Anyway, so he said, why black and white? You used to use watercolor. And I said, well, I didn't say I run out of watercolor. But I used to paint a beautiful landscape, and then I had a chance to go back to Japan or take students to Italy, and then I just loved the countryside. So I just went on, and I really I used watercolor. I used watercolor a lot, and then also, but the way the watercolor works on the paper is uncontrollable, and I associated with. I saw parallel with our life, which is uncontrollable sometimes. Anyway, so I really learned about how I would be in painting, doing the painting. So taught me how to be kind of, and so that's what I loved about it. And then, but at a certain point, I felt that I was repeating the same kind of images and same way, and I felt comfortable, and then I felt like a little bit like being in a lukewarm water. So I got a block in my watercolor, really, and I felt like, So I thought I'm gonna start using black and white, ink painting, which I love because being a Japanese, I grew up with doing calligraphy, and so the ink is a very natural material, and so when we go to a grade school, we start learning calligraphy. And so since then, I just loved calligraphy. And so maybe black and white might help me to go to the next step. And then I just loved it. And then so I do both. And then these are both aqueous mediums, and so they are uncontrollable. But I like that the characteristics of not being able to know exactly where you're going. So when you think of it, the water, there's no way that you can fight with water, right? Because water is one of the most powerful elements in the universe, and so you just have to go wherever it has to go, or it will go, and then you can't fight with it. And so it's an interesting medium. So there's and then it has been such an Asian material. And in Asia, oil painting existed, but they never used it to express emotions or stories by the artists. They were used for the furnitures, but not to express themselves. Anyway, so the ink is kind of, ink just came into my work, and then I wanted to have some strong dark and light, which you can get in ink painting. Anyway, so I loved landscape painting. So I wanted to abstract landscape paintings and then really kind of feel the parallel with our life, and then I loved, so usually as a process I go out and paint outdoor, and that's my a way of kind of knowing what's in the nature, and then it changes, I experience changes, and then I make some more abstracted images in the studio. That's how I worked. And then, but like today, I went to Hendricks Park this morning, and it was such a beautiful day. And I saw debris from the ice storm. I saw big trees, like fell and so on. But the light through the branches is just so beautiful. It's just like almost like what. You can't really express that kind of joy of light, and I wanted to experience that. And then thank you so much for coming here in such a nice day instead of going to Hendricks Park. Who came to here. Anyway, but more than 5 years ago, I started to feel that our nature is changing, and there is some uneasiness about what we experience in nature. And so it was my emotional kind of response to the changes that we are experiencing it. And so I somehow my work started to change, and I started to think, I want to kind of have a beautiful landscape, but at the same time, there's some disturbing elements with it, and how I can kind of like a mesh together, how I can combine what we are experiencing. And so that's the reality of our landscape these days, because, I clearly remember in 2019, I drove to Coburg and then go back and forth in November, and it was not fog, it was a smoke, 2 weeks of smoke. And then 2020 we had a holiday farm, and as a matter of fact, Wei Ping, she lost her house, and then we all know, a few people had such an unfortunate, challenging situation, and 178,000 acres burned. And 2021, we had a huge fire in Central Oregon, and that was like more than 400,000 acres. And when I went there, I went to Holiday Farm, area, the Blue River, every day for a week. I just had to see it, after that, couple months later. It was really incredible scene to see. And actually, Sarah Grew has been working on those pieces. She has been visiting all those forest fire areas, right, up and down on the coast. Anyway, so we can't really ignore the reality of nature these days, and so I thought, well, maybe in my case, it's an emotional response to that, but somehow I wanted to express it in my painting, and then so for example, in Central Oregon in 2021, it was more than 400,000 acres. And I talked to I was in a residency, and so after that, I talked to Mark, who was the maintenance person, and he was volunteer firefighters for many years. And he said he has never seen the fire run so fast. And it was 1,000 acres an hour, in an hour. Can you imagine? And then, in 2022, Texas, Canada, all over, right? So it became a part of our life in the summer. And so that's how I have been trying to create the image with some sense of peril. And then I was very frustrated for a long time because some of the work was done before COVID, during the COVID, and then these three are the newest ones. And it was very challenging to combine the beauty and then peril, and then I struggled, and then a lot of them I didn't like. And so there's a pile of bad paintings in the studio. Anyway, And so, but it was important for me to do that, and personally. And then, so like these two black background with burnt paintings were done in Playa, and these two are two of the eight pieces. And so I want to have, in the future, one of them is not framed yet, but I would like to have them all together in the future. And then it was really interesting experience of burning my paintings on so like a lakeside in desert area. So they gave me a permission, and so I was able to do it in a windless day. And this one was really interesting. I didn't want to control the burn, but some people helped me. I was in a residency also, and then we kind of like had a hard time burning at the beginning because it's a thick paper, but so there were forests here, and then the forests were burned. And then everybody thought that was really kind of incredible that, the mountain stays, but the forest went away. And so that was almost symbolic to me. And then this is it's bits and pieces of paper left. So these were kind of my reaction to what really is happening. And, but I was still frustrated. Now, I was not getting to the point where I wanted to go, or I don't know where I wanted to go, but they were not somehow. I would show these paintings, and people would say, "Oh, beautiful," which is great to hear. But I wanted to create some sort of like a more sense of danger or something. Anyway, so I had a chance to go to California last October and November, to be in a residency, and so I was trying to kind of create something new. I mean, not just because to create something new, but I had an urge to do something. And so I brought all of my bad paintings, and I thought, I'm gonna do a collage. I'm gonna just cut them up and then collage, and then see where it goes to. And luckily, there was a woman artist who was doing a very kind of fantastical painting with very strange brushes and so on. And then she gave me such an inspiration. So I started ripping off my paintings and then put them on. And then I didn't show those here yet, but they were free form. And then there is a forest, and then there is also like burnt areas and so on. And I really liked it. So actually, this is a collage. This yeah. So, and the other thing was, I thought that we experienced serenity, serene landscape, beautiful landscape that we have, or land we have in Oregon. And then this is the destructive kind of land. I don't know what it is, land, or more abstracted land. And then rejuvenation is sort of like hope. And so those three, and then there are two of them in the back wall, and then one is a distant land, so which we experience in the beautiful light and beautiful field, and then the one on the left is a very kind of disturbing image, which is one of my favorite, actually. But so that's what I'm trying to do, and then I thought it doesn't have to be in one painting, but I painted them independently, and they are independent paintings, but they somehow went together in my mind. So that's what I did, and there are three paintings on that wall behind that partition. I did those during the COVID, and so one of the middle looks like a city upside down, and then two of them together, and then I felt like they go together as a piece. And so I don't know if so this gave me idea, and it's I'm in a different new path of creating these images, and then putting together as a different format and so on. And so I really appreciated the time, and then also the people who I met at the residency and encouraged me to kind of go to a new path. And the other thing is that I have been thinking about what more I can do. And so I don't know if Val is here or Grace is here.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, Grace, hi! Wow, thank you for coming. It's so nice to see you. I want to introduce these new young scientists. And so I have been thinking about Grace too, and then I met them here in interesting serendipity, and so we have been starting to talk about working together and then really see what we can do in terms of climate change or forest, how to think about the future of forest. And so I'm so grateful that I met both of you, and I'm sure I have a lot to learn from these people. And thank you so much for being here. Yeah.
It's an honor. Thank you.